Well, morning guys, so welcome back to NZ Motor Outlaw Customs again. So this will be the second video of obviously working on this gearbox and, well not gearbox, steering box and possibly gearbox. We'll see how that goes. I'm waiting on bits obviously to be done. So yeah, we stripped down these two steering boxes to try and build one out of two in the last video. So I'm obviously going to try and clean this all up today, get it all cleaned up and stripped down and whatever, and get all the crap off it, check the bearings. It's got two roller bearings that are on here. I want to try and see if I can get this fully apart, maybe get like the worm gear and everything off there so I can just clean all the stuff up properly and check it and make sure this stuff is okay. I think if these bearings are all right, at least two of them out of the four between the two, we'll just clean them up, put them back together and be done with it. I don't think it's worth, they're not, it's, you know, it's not like one of those things, it's not like a wheel bearing or gearbox bearing that's doing hundreds or thousands of revs a minute. It's, you know, you're going like that, if you know what I mean, out down the road. So they're not, it's not a high speed thing. So as long as they're in reasonable nick and they don't feel ugly or anything like that, we'll just clean it right up, flush them out with some brake clean and whatever, and we'll just repack them all full of fresh, modern grease and put it back together and just clean everything up and paint it. I think that's the easiest thing to do, as long as everything looks in good nick. I think that's just the simplest thing to do. And then we can at least get something finished and back on the car, and this sort of needs to go in the chassis fairly early anyway. It's one of the sort of first things, because once you've got the engine in there, you can't get the steering box in there, it's got to go on first. So it's sort of one of the things that needs to be done sooner than later. So, you know, a couple of days work by the time I get this really cleaned up and get all the shit off it, and then get it prepped and painted. You know, it's going to take a couple of 3 days. We'll do another little bits and pieces in between. You know, and then we can, I assume this was possibly nickeled, so we'll better, you know, once we get it back together, what I'll do is I'll probably stick the radio one on. We'll see which one's best. I think 1.5 dozen other, but I think this is better. So probably what we'll do is we'll just give one a rough up, so at least it's got something that you can still steer it if we happen to get back on its wheels. And we'll get this one cleaned up, so at least we can get this. I assume it would have been nickeled, and I think it would be nickeled. I'll find out. If it wasn't nickeled, we'll just paint it, and then we'll get a rim made for it. And it'll be probably the same guy that made the wheels. We do have one here, but it's all out of shape. I'll see how it fits on it. I'll see if it will fit on it, but it's sort of all out of shape. But it's there as a sample, if you know what I mean. So we'll look into that too, but we'll get that all cleaned up and everything. And at least we've got one that we can slip on there, at least if we do have it to get back on its wheels at sometime in the next a couple of 3 weeks or whatever, we can steer it. So we'll get into it. So the first thing I need to do is just try to see if I can get this steering lock collar off here. It's got a couple of grub screws in there. I've got one out, but I need to find maybe a slightly better screwdriver, because these look like they've been put in there and then hammered, so they're not so easy to get out, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this is like a little collar that slips on. It's got a mirror on it. It's had a couple of grub screws put in it, but I don't know. It's probably not going to interfere in that tube anyway, but I'll get it off and see what the go is underneath it, and maybe just leave it off just in case it happens to foul on something in there, because I don't think there's much in it anyway, but yeah, we'll just make sure it's not going to be a problem. I'd rather have it off and it not be a problem than be on there and cause issues, since that we never had one. And then we can give this a clean up. Now I've got a bench grinder and a buffing wheel and a wire wheel and lots of stuff. And apparently they're a bit fucking hard to come by at the moment, which doesn't fucking surprise me with everything that's going on. Went to a couple places to get one, and this was the last one that the place had in town. So got this all here, nice big frickin' wire wheel, a buff, a couple of adapters, big block of jeweler's rouge. Got some gasket paper to put the gearbox back together with, make some gaskets and some brackets and whatever. Now I'm just trying to, I'd like to put this on some sort of pedestal. I don't have any steel here, but I'm just thinking maybe if I make up a right angle piece and attach it to one of these posts or something. I'm thinking. I'll turn the camera and I'll show you. Righty, so I'm not quite sure if I'd put it here or not, but what I'm sort of thinking is maybe a post or a thing on an angle down and something out and then mount it out here, so you've got a bit of room to move around if you want to buff something up on the buffer, and also that leaves you nice and free for the other end for the wire wheel, if you know what I mean, too, so you can get in there, because you can take the shroud off the end and leave the, not that you really want to leave the wire wheel exposed, but sometimes it's quite handy if it's half exposed, because then you can get in and do weird shapes. So I was thinking about maybe putting it here or somewhere like that, so it's an easy place to use it. I did think about maybe putting it over here too, beside the like over here. But if it was going to be on a metal stand and it was bolted to the ground, I'd put it here. But I don't really want to anchor it back to that wall because it's not really in the right place, if you know what I mean. I could always shift the belt sander somewhere else, but yeah, because I don't really want it on a bench. It would be like it'd be okay on the bench, but that bench isn't that good. It really needs another top on it. So yeah, so I was kind of thinking over there, if these shelves were in here, I'd probably put it against that post, and just have it in the middle there in the open. But we haven't moved that shit yet. That's why I was sort of thinking over there in the meantime anyway. I can just run a cord across to it. Not ideal, but better than nothing, if you know what I mean. You can always shift it later. So it's kind of what I was thinking. So it's like I'm thinking, well, like a bit of some 4x4 or something like that. There's a bit of timber floating around here that I could make something up and anchor it back to that. I think there's a few of those like nail plates and shit around here. Soon make something up. But yeah, I might do that a wee bit later on. See how we get on. But yeah, I'll keep cleaning this shit up first. But yeah, I want to get that set up so, better wire wheel a lot of this shit too. Can do it like a lot with that sort of, with the tubes and bits and pieces. You can run that up and down it, if you know what I mean. Be quite handy doing that. But I'll carry on cleaning a lot of this crap up. We'll get all the old grease and shit out of it, and yeah, and piece together what we're gonna do with it all. Righty, so I've been cleaning these pieces up. I actually was cleaning this one for a start, because this was off the second steering box, and I was thinking, oh, I'll just use that one. And then I went back to look at this one, and I realised, hold on a minute, this has got that big fat thing on it to hold this bracket on it to go in the car. So I kind of have to use this housing. I'm not sure if the shafts are the same or not. So I'm going to have to clean them up and just see, because I would like to run the matching gears together, if you know what I mean. It's probably not going to be critical, but you normally try to run gears with gears that have been together. This isn't probably quite so critical, but it'd be still nice to run that gear with its matching gear, if you know what I mean. But if we can't, we can't. But if I can get maybe if I can get the worm gear off that was with this one, I might be able to put it on, you know, with the other. Or if I can swap the shafts over, you know, or whatever. So I think these just slide out, but I need to clean the shafts up to try and get them out. And man, that grease is just, it's freaking terrible shit. It just freaking hangs on and hangs on and hangs on. I've got the main housing cleaned up. I'm going to have to just really compare notes, but I think there's no real difference in these. I'm pretty sure there's not no real difference. I'll have to double check, but I don't really see any physical difference. I think everything's pretty much the same. So that's a good start. I'll have to double check it though, just to doubly make sure that they are exactly the same, because this is the second one. So if we end up putting that and that here, we need to make sure they are exactly the same, because I can't use that housing, obviously, that part of the housing. So yeah, I'll keep planning, see if I can get these cleaned up, see if I can get the shafts out of them, just so I can try and get these fucking crap cleaned off here, so I can clean these parts up so I can fucking paint it. Because at the moment it's just an absolute greasy fucking mess. And every time I pick something up, I've got to try and wipe hands to even do anything else. I just end up with grease and shit everywhere. Man, that stuff is just, it's like fucking, it's like tar. Or, it's not really the consistency of grease, it's, well it is, but it's not, if you know what I mean. It's freaking terrible shit. Yeah, anyway, I'll carry on here. Alrighty, so I got quite a few pieces cleaned up and soaking. I managed to get that off. I'm not sure if I showed you that or not. I really need to get the main tube cleaned up. But I'll probably really need to get the bench grinder set up. I could do that with like angle grinder and wire wheel, but I think it'll just be a damn sight easier on the bench grinder, because I don't really want to put that in the vise to hold it either, because otherwise it might end up squashing and damaging the tube. Just throw that in the bolts there, throw in the tub so the stuff's soaking. I just threw all the bolts in there, and here, let them soak for a while. I've got, God, look at the fucking grease and shit on top of this crap. That's off that stuff. what I didn't pick out for a start off. So that's soaking in there. I've got, so everything else is basically cleaned up, or I've got it sitting in the blasting cabinet ready to give it a sandblast, like the outer housings, like around here and out of that case. I'll do that as well. As much as I'd love to do the tube in there, it's never going to fit. Now I will always say something. When I heated this up with the torch to get the nut off, there must have been, I don't know whether it's some solder or some white metal or something up in the top, and it melted at the top. So I've had to open that back up because I couldn't get this down in there, I realised. So yeah, it must have had like sort of almost like a bit of a bush or a bearing for this to roll around in. Hopefully it'll be fine. I don't think it should be too much of an issue. But yeah, you never know. So I had to try and open that back up. Yeah, if I didn't, it's not something you think of. It should be okay. But yeah, I got everything else cleaned up. I want to polish just this little bit of the surface. It should be right. It's on the outside of the box, but it'd be nice just to clean it up so when it goes back in it's not so yucky. I did think about taking this off. Now I'll give this a bit of a polish up, but I'll have to press that off, I think. So I'll just leave it alone. Its bearings look alright. You can pull that back. So I managed to get in there and try and clean this out the best I could with brake clean and stuff. I'll give it another go before I do the final assembly. But I think it should be okay. If I have to, I'll push it off. I'll clean this other bearing up as well. It feels quite good, even though it's got like nothing in it. It feels and sounds quite good. So I think what we put, and it's the one off this shaft, which was in the good housing. So I think we'll be right. Yeah, it's just the old shit one. It's funny, these are actually, the early ones are, I'm not sure if that's meant to move both sides or not, but they're slightly different bearing. So they must have improved something again at some point with being later. So that's the old crappy one. See how frickin' chewed up that is. So yeah, we've got the original top, because it's got that big boss that comes out to here, and then the other base, all combining the two. So yeah, and I would have used that, but because it's ugly, I can't really put it inside the other housing where the nice smooth bushes are in. You know, where this has been running. If it had been the same way around, I would have swapped the gear. So we just these gears are going to be a little bit mixed matched, but I don't think it'll matter too much. They look about the same for wear, like the gears themselves aren't worn out. It's just that bush, so that's cool. So I really need to try and set up this bench grinder so I can use the bloody thing. Sorry about the wind, there's wind's blowing right in the door. So I'm going to try and see if I can make up something, some sort of wooden frame, and anchor it to this post. Oh well, so I got the grinder here on a pedestal, bolted down. It ain't going anywhere, but we have a small issue. Got this for the buffing wheel, and wrong fucking thread in there. And I've already opened the packet. There was two in there. One was 16mm, one's 5/8, which is basically the same size, just obviously the metric and imperial version. So yeah, now I can't put that on because the fucking thread's the wrong size. I don't know what size it is. It's like I don't know, like 14mm or something stupid like that. And this one's a reverse thread, so I can't put it on this side either. So yeah, it's got to go on here, but it's wrong freaking size. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with these things now. It's a pain in the ass. And I haven't looked at this grinder, but I might pull the end off one of these and just maybe put, I could put that over there, I guess, if this is the right size bolt, right size thread on there. I'll have a look later, but it would be nice to have the nice new one over there. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm going to go for some lunch. So yeah, and I did a hard case, freaking I cut it open in here just to be stupid and videoed it, and yeah, wrong fucking size bolts, wrong size wall things, adapters, which is kind of weird, but it was like the only bench grinder we could find, so yeah, I don't know, maybe there was a reason. Anyway, we'll make something work. Alrighty, I'll solve the grinder problem with the adapters because these are too big. I don't know what size shaft this is, but it's smaller than obviously what they normally are, and it's a what is it? A 200mm grinder or bench grinder, or an 8-inch one. This is obviously meant to be for an 8-inch. That's what it's meant to be for, but for some reason this has got a lighter main shaft, and it's been machined for a different size. So I'll just put all that crap back on that, and the other grinder that was there is the right size. It's got the right size freaking shaft in it, so we'll throw that over here instead. So I've already got it bolted down, bolt holes are the same. Put that on there, I'll just get that other guard off and I'll take this other crap out of the road. Put the wire wheel on that and the buffing wheel on that side, and be done with it, and then just put that one back together and I'll bolt it down to the bench like I've always been meaning to do to this one, and I'll give this a bit of a clean up. Oh well, we've not quite how we thought we were going to do it, but we've accomplished what we wanted to accomplish anyway. Just, yeah. Anyway, so I'll get to it. Alrighty, that's one gun. Unfortunately, it's not on a plug on a wall, but that'll do in the meantime. Right, oh well, that works better. I'll get that other one sorted out tomorrow. I'll get it all bolted back together and bolted down. I'll bolt it down over there. The only thing I want to do here is, because these bits are missing off here, I might get a bit of angle on and make up a little, just a thing for on here, because I was just resting against here. I'd like to try and buff that off. But I'll just make one to bolt onto here, add a bit of angle on. I think I'll get a bit of 50 to 50 there or something like that. I'll poke it this way and then we'll work something out. We'll cut it out and make something, even if I have to add like a little bit of tab on the side of it or something, just to bolt onto there. I'll probably use, I was going to say I could use that piece, but I can't because it's for the bender. I won't use that piece. But I've got this big hunk up here. I can whip it a bit of that off. That'll work perfect. I'll just cut it and then just weld a freaking tongue on it. I'm pretty sure there's not one around here. It's only the ones for this, which I'll see. I'll just sit that on there and see if that'll fit that, and not that I'll make it like that, because that's freaking light in it. God, make fucking junk. Anyway, yeah, something like that'll do. So I'll I'll roughly replicate that out of a bit of frickin' angle on. At least I know it'll be not gonna frickin' bend and break on me for that anyway. And I'll put all this crap on here later. Yeah. Oh, it's a shame it didn't have the right shaft in it, but it doesn't matter. We'll still end up with the same as what we're going to have, just different places. Slightly different functions. So that's cool. I had a little play. I did it off camera. That buffing wheel needs, you know, by the time you get a few, lots of Jeweler's Rouge in it, this stuff. Once that gets, you know, a few coats in there, it'll actually come up quite nice, if you know what I mean. But I just had a little play to see what this would buff up like. This actually needs cleaned up, like it needs probably sanded and whatever, just to get rid of the pitting and stuff like that. But this here will be polished. I presume it's aluminium or aluminum. So yeah, that'll be all buffed up and polished. So that's actually going to come up pretty easy. Now with a wee bit of work, it won't be. It'll come up pretty nice. So that's cool. So yeah, that's what I want that for, to buff up a lot of that sort of stuff. It'll be nice, especially once it's got a bit of crap into it and build up a base, if you know what I mean. So that's cool. Awesome. And we just need to get at least a pedestal on here. Or I guess you want to call it a guard pedestal. I'm not too worried about the top one. Because sometimes that shit gets in the road, but at least if the bottom one's there, then I can try and build it down nice and low, but at least I've still got a purchase on it. So I've got that open, because sometimes if it's too closed up, you can't get a bigger object in there. But I'll just keep it down nice and low, at least. Poking out here somewhere, I'll make it. Yeah, that'll work. Work out something. Anyway, I've sprayed that, as you've just seen. I just turned it. I just gave it a quick turn and sprayed the other side of it. At least that's got some etch on it now. First part of the steering box etched up. I haven't done anything with anything else because I've been screwing with that thing for part of the day. That was the fastest piece to build. It was getting that other one all apart and then realising this adapter wasn't right. And I was like, frig. And then when I went away for lunch, I thought, shit, I bet you that other one's the frickin' right one. You know, because it's 20, 30 years old, 40 years old probably. Still running fine, so yeah, I just pulled the cover off and screwed onto that, and I was like, yeah, sweet, perfect, we'll just swap. If that dies, oh well, you know, we'll work that out later. But shit, the old man's one, the old man's got, the one that the old man's got, it's the one I remember as a kid being on his bench, you know, at 6 or 7 years old, and it was old then. Like, I don't know how long he'd had it then, but you know what I mean. Like, it wasn't. I don't ever remember it being new. You know, it was like a 5 or 6 year old. You know, it was always the one that was on Dad's bench, and it's still going. You know, and I'm 47, so as long as they're decent quality, they'll keep going and going and going and going forever. You know, obviously they'll die eventually, but a good quality one will last. So, yeah. Anyway, that'll do in the meantime. I might have a quick play with that stuff over there. And see if I can get some of that stuff to start cleaning up, but I've got to go at about 20 past 3. Since we're down to one vehicle at the moment. Anyway, we'll catch you later on. Right. Welcome back again, guys. So, welcome to another morning, Thursday. So, it should be about halfway through the video, I think. I'm just flicking through the footage. So, we finally, yesterday, between that grinder and the one that was there, managed to get the buffing wheel and the wire wheel over on that new piece that I made yesterday. We've got that tube etched for the steering box. I've got some other bits still in the cabinet to get finished. I stripped the rim off one of those tyres sent away to be made, so we can get some brand new rims made, because they've all been repaired at some point. You know, we'll keep the best one for, or best couple, and maybe put some new tyres on just as spares, because you know you can change the outer without changing the actual rim. You know what I mean? They just unbolt and bolt off type sort of thing. So yeah, got that to go. Still waiting on a lot of parts. I want to try and get these steering box. If I can get all the parts cleaned up, hopefully get it back together and all the parts etched, and then get it back together and prime it and get it ready for paint. Maybe Saturday. See how that goes with all the other little bits we've got going on. And also something else I want to do is these white containers. We've got a few whole ones of those around. I might cut another couple in half and clean up some of the spare parts that are sitting around here now since I've stripped down, you know, 2 diffs and 2 gearboxes and 2 steering boxes. I'll put some of the bits in a couple of those halves and pop them away somewhere, get them out of the road, if you know what I mean. Whether it's under a bench or under these blue shells or something like that, just to get them out of the road, so there's not bits and pieces lying all over the place. So I'll do that probably today too, so I can have a bit more of a straighten up again. I think if I run out of bits to do between the gearbox and steering box and stuff like that, I might actually go back to making those floor pieces like I was going to do a while ago before I painted the car. I was going to do it before I painted the car, but just didn't end up quite getting back there because we were waiting on materials. But so yeah, that actually reminds me I need to get some aluminum sheet to make the little trim pieces around the edge. So I've got to go back and do that. Yeah, so hopefully I'll get the box all cleaned up today, all the parts, and try and get all the bits etched, and then we'll reassemble and I'll prime it, not necessarily today, maybe tomorrow, with a couple of coats, and then hopefully maybe Saturday paint it, but we'll get some other stuff done at the same time. And once I get the housing bits cleaned up, I think everything else, once I give it a bit of a rinse down and a wash down with some brake clean, I can reassemble it, and should have some grease here that I can fill it up full of, hopefully, or at least put some grease in it, and then we can pump it full of grease later on, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think that's sort of the plan for the next day or two. Get some of the stuff cleaned up, and hopefully we can slowly get some of the easier parts to make back. I'm hoping the next few days, even if it's next week, if I can get some of these bits back that I've written down on the board, be nice at some point, hopefully shortly. I don't want it too many bits and pieces away and too many bits apart. Not there's a lot more to go together, but there's lots of other little pieces I need to go through and paint and whatever, and I don't want everything spread out everywhere because it'd be too easy to get stuff mixed up. So if I can get a few of these pieces back together and at least out of the road or back on the vehicle, because the steering box I can put straight on, and bits and pieces like that, but yeah, bit of a pain. I don't want too many bits apart because at some point I'm going to print out I had a drawing of all the carburetor parts as I pulled them out and laid them all out in order, so I can double check that, make sure I still got everything and I haven't lost anything. It should be all still together, but you know, I took a photo of all the bits laid out as I pulled them apart once I'd gone through and just sorted it. So I've actually got a photo of that all apart, and double check footage and see if I can, because I think I deleted the raw, but I've still got the video that I loaded, so I'm going to try and slow that down and see if I can at least see which bits I've pulled off in order, if you know what I mean, to put it back together. Just more of a, just bring it back up in my head as pulling it apart, because you know it's one of the only carburetor I've ever pulled apart like that. Just to, if I can pull it down and maybe even, I don't know if I can reverse it or not, and just work it out how I pulled it apart, because it's in high speed. I wish I meant to keep the raw footage from that, but I just forgot. So I ended up with too much on the computer, and I deleted some older raw footage, but just kept the finished files, if you know what I mean, which was dumb. But anyway, that was one thing I wanted to keep, but I forgot about it. But anyway, so yeah, I'll get going and we'll get some stuff done. I've cleaned a bit of that crap away. Obviously still got a lot of cleaning up to do, but I cut up 2 of those old drench containers or whatever they are. So I've got gearbox parts in that one, and around the other side here, like at some other point when we have a bit more of a shuffle around with the stuff, we'll have better. But so I got diff parts in that one, steering box parts in that one. I've got more diff parts in this one. I got a housing underneath here, and I think there's another main housing underneath the other steel bench over there. So at least that crap's kind of out of the road in the meantime. And we can, you know, it just gives me some more bench space, and we can have a shuffle around and clean stuff up a bit better. And whatever, it's crap that didn't need to be there now. Now that we've got obviously another diff head and whatever. You know, we think we've got all the bits we need for the gearbox. If I need anything, I can soon dig it out. Same for the steering box, I can soon dig it out. But yeah, at least now I can have a bit of a shuffle around. At some point I'll get that back together today too, that thing. But yeah, it just means I can get more organised. That's the biggest problem around here. Righty, I think I finally got these things clean enough that I can frickin' blow a bit of edge on them and get them ready for a next step. Man, they've taken some, just the build-up crap has just taken so much to get out of all the corners and to make sure it's clean. Like, not that I'm going to be etching the side of it, but to etch the top of it and just make sure it's all clean in there and ready to go. You know, apart from maybe another quick rinse out with some brake clean, even though I've done it like freaking about 3 times most of this shit. Like, I've got right in here and try to get it as clean as possible so it's ready to go, you know, apart from a quick rinse before we do assemble and, you know, blow out and whatever, and just make sure it is dead clean. But I think I've got everything. These pieces aren't quite so critical, though, a bit more. But so yeah, I'll get a coat of etch on the stuff, and that'll leave that for over, you know, and then I can leave it over lunch, and then I can move it and whatever, and start heading towards getting some of the other internal pieces sorted, and some of the bolts and bits and pieces. I haven't checked the bolts and bits and pieces. I've had them soaking. I lifted them out a wee while ago. I might just have to give them a blast and whatever in the cabinet, the stuff that needs it. and then I can probably start, once I've got it etched, and then I can probably start reassembling after lunch, once I have a bit more of a tidy up around here. I haven't sort of done that, I've been trying to get this stuff clean, but yeah, I just want to get it etched, and then I'll bugger off and have some lunch, and we'll come back and we'll attack them after that. Right, so that's that stuff etched. Sorry if my quality picture's not very good. I reckon that back glass on the phone's getting a bit damaged again on the lenses. It's a bit of a pain. I really need to try and sort out a better way to protect the phone, or when I get another phone, or when I get a camera, to protect them a bit better. It's the weld splitter and the grinding splitter. When I'm doing things close and trying to get a decent shot, it just gets on the lenses, and then it's, you know, you get little frickin' funny bits on there, and it just upsets the quality of the picture. But anyway, that's that stuff done. So I'll let that cure off. Fortunately, it flashes off pretty quick, so you can turn it over within a couple of minutes, and it, you know, where it's not quite so thick. But try to keep it away from the surfaces, but it doesn't matter too much. I can give it a wee polish up, if you know, later on with a bit of, you know, just whatever surface is critical. I can just put it on a bit of paper and run it across, and just clean the paint off it if it really needs it, if you know what I mean, because it bolts on here, bolts on through that. Just about to pull that plastic out of the road shortly. I haven't done anything, needed to do anything to this yet, but we're getting some, actually, this is just some sample stuff. We looked at, we're getting some strip rubber to go underneath there, and we looked at some bits to maybe for the what do you want to call it? The stuff that goes in between the bodies panels, but I don't think it's got enough back. It's not deep enough in here. So yeah, we'll get something else better. But we're looking for samples, and I think this here, we got this here, and I think that might do to make these. So I should have enough here to make 8 of them out of that. It's reasonably soft, but I think it'll do the job nicely, because it'll be nice and spongy without being hard, if you know what I mean. So I think this will work for that. It's pretty close to about the right dimension, so I'll have to play with it. I should have enough to have a couple of screw ups and work out how to do it, and then at least try to do it out of that stuff and see if it works. I think it'll work. It should work okay with a little bit of fine tuning and whatever. But I might have to get go buy another couple of really nice sharp blades to play with. So I'll do that at some point. But that doesn't matter. Like, that's a job, you know, a week down the track or whatever, or want to get bored of doing something else. So yeah, I've got some stuff there to do that. But anyway, I'm going to pack up and turn the lights off and go have some lunch, and then I'll come back. Right, hopefully you can see. Yep, that'll work. I'll just stand back a little bit. So we'll call this mail time for this video. So I just got a package come through. I went home and was just about to hop in the car, and Mrs. goes, "Oh, what did you order?" I was like, "Nothing, I remember." She just got a package here from Amazon. I was like, "Ah," so it must be off my wish list that I made there a wee while ago. Because a couple of people asked me to. I asked if I had one, so I made them up, put a few tools and bits and pieces on there, and I have already opened it, so I do know what's in here, but so yeah, so what I got was, and it was from C.A.R Garage. I'll put a link up of the thing. Go sub his channel. Awesome guy. To be honest, I haven't watched too many of his videos, and I'm going to I feel a bit guilty, I'm going to have to go watch a few. So, but what he sent me was some deburring tools for, it's a countersink one, and the other one is the the one that you stick in whatever inside. There's a bit of tube. So yeah, this here, if you don't know what one is, it's the deburring tool. So you just roll it around and just clean all the crap out of the inside of it. You know what I mean? Run it around and takes all the sharp, well, the worst of the sharp edges off. There you go. And I think there's a whole lot of spare blades in there too, I think. By the looks of it. I had a quick look, but I didn't really open it up, if you know what I mean. So I wanted to do it mainly on camera. Yeah, and a whole heap of spare blades. So if I happen to break one, I've got plenty of spares. So that's cool. Another thing that he sent me, which was basically was in the same package, was these. They're long reach, like long nose pliers. I've got just normal shortish ones, but I haven't got any of these big long ones, so these would be really handy too. I don't have any like this, that's kind of why I put them on the list. I've got plenty of normal pliers, but not many, or none like this, and now I've got 3. Brand are they? They're just Amazon basics. So it'll be interesting to see how well they last, but they'll be handy enough. They'll be handy enough. Awesome. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. To be honest, like he's gave me some money on my PayPal, gave me some money on my buy me a coffee, and then bought me some tools. So he's an absolute legend. Go check his channel out. C.A.R Garage. So yeah, as I said, I'll put a link up. He's about 700 odd subs, I think, thereabouts. So yeah, go give him a sub and tell him I sent you and whatever, and I'm sure he'll see this because he follows my channel pretty regularly now. But yeah, absolutely, totally appreciate that. Awesome. That's kind of what I expected to get from you, this sort of stuff. But like, there's a few things on there that are quite expensive that I've sort of just thrown on my Amazon wish list to more for me at some point to buy if I get a chance. But yeah, like this sort of stuff is just so handy. I haven't actually had one of these. I've always had them, like when I was doing sheet metal work and stuff like that. Well, we had them at work and I used to use them all the time, but I haven't actually had one in my own arsenal, if you know what I mean. So very, very handy, and a heap of spare tips, so that's cool. I'll throw them in the little white drawers over there, little plastic drawers, with some other bits and pieces, and it'll be very, very handy. I'll have to try and find somewhere for these to go in my toolbox. We'll just fill it up a little bit more. We'll try anyway. But that's absolutely awesome. Thanks, bud. Much, much appreciated. And yeah, you've definitely exceeded yourself. Thank you. But anyway, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to try and get this, start seeing piecing the steering box together and clean up these last little bits, and just see if I can get it back together and throw a bit of grease in amongst the pieces, and then at some other point, when it's sort of almost ready to go, then I'll pack it full of grease properly. We'll pump it full of grease properly. I'll put a decent amount in here for a start off. I'll have to just double check, make sure we've got something that's the right sort of thing. But yeah, and we'll throw it in there. But it's not hard to just undo those few bits off here and pull the thing, the gear off and just pack it full and then put it back together if I have to after it's painted. But I don't really want to do that. I'll have a look. We've got lots of grease here. And yeah, at least get it together so I can paint it over the next day or two. So yeah, that's my mission for the rest of the afternoon. But again, much appreciated. I'll have to go through my Amazon wish list and take some of these off. Not that, you know, another set wouldn't be handy, but these will be perfectly fine for the meantime. I'll have to go through and just see if there's anything else there that I could maybe throw on there. You know, if somebody else wants to send me some other smaller stuff like this. So yeah, much appreciated. Thanks very much. Righty. There's always something in there. Always something. Right, let's let me explain what's going on here. Right. So, I can't change this. I can't change that. Right, because this is the one that needs to have the clamp on it to go onto the chassis. So, right, this gear here, and this gear here, yeah, so this gear here and this gear here, I thought were the same size, but they're not. This one's it's like, it's quite a bit smaller, but it's not really, if you know what I mean. Like, just physically looking at it, it doesn't look any bigger or smaller until you get the calipers out and measure it, and it's a couple of mils difference, 2 or 3 mils, whatever it is, difference in diameter across the tops of the teeth, not down in here, because it was very awkward to get a correct reading. Because I thought, what's going on here? I can't get this frickin' thing to go in. And what we've done, we've changed the shaft, right? Because the other one was all worn and queer on the bottom, and we changed the shaft and we kept the housing it was in, thinking that okay, they just changed the way this is clamped on. But no, they've obviously changed the gears as well. Now I'm not sure whether I can in here, I'll grab the other one. It's easier to part. It's not hanging in the vise. I'm not sure if I can change this gear here, because they are, well, yeah, they are pressed on. They're in a keyway, so they're pushed on. So I'm hoping on a wing and a P I can get this one off and put it on that shaft, because the end of the shaft's chewed up. At the end of the day, we could get the shaft skimmed down and get a new bush made to fit in the other housing. I think the housings are the same. I'm going to just do some measurements. I'm going to redo some measurements. I sort of looked at them and I thought, yeah, no, they're pretty much identical. There's only, like, it's a, they've changed the way it was mounted or something like that, at some point. Everything else looked basically the same. Like, it didn't look any different. That was a few extra brackets bolted onto it, but the basic housing looked exactly the same. I couldn't pick the difference. But I'm just going to check, make sure that the depth of the housing is the same. I think it's the same because the distance from those, what do you want to call it, the plate that the gear's on to the top of the gear is the same distance, roughly. Like, it's within half a mil. So, like, I don't think that's the problem. It's the diameter. I'm not sure if the gear, possibly the gear is, those worm gears maybe a slightly different size too. Because I couldn't, from the life of me, because I was going like this, I haven't got any grease here, so I've just been using a bit of Vaseline, just a little bit of lubrication to put it together, and then when we pumped it full of grease, it would have been, like, you could have just freaking pulled it up. Like, I would have loved to have filled it up, but a little bit of Vaseline to put it together, and then put the grease nipples in and then just pump it full of grease. We'll do the same job, if you know what I mean. But he was going, why won't this fit? It's like, pretty sure it's the same. I was getting it in the air and trying to get it to seat round, and it was like, what's going on? Like, I was like looking, like, oh yeah. And it wasn't until I pulled the shaft out and was like, set it in there, and I was like, it's not sitting all the way in the gears. Like, this isn't seating all the way into those ones. It's like, okay, something's different. Because, yeah, we kept this and that other shaft, thinking they were basically the same, but I think they are. It's just that gear is different, unfortunately. So, yeah. And I think it's, well, I don't know, I'd have to measure up, but I'm hoping that It's just the two gears that are a little bit different. If I swap the gear on the shaft, if I can get it off, if I can swap the two gears over, well, then we might be right. But yeah, I thought I wasn't going to have to muck around with that, because it's awkward to get it off, because, you know, like I can't, because of the length of that shaft. Yeah, I don't think I'll get it in the press, if you know what I mean, and get it down. I'll have to lift the press. Well, I'll have to prop it up in some blocks, if I have to, I will. But then it's also too, yeah, it's fucking awkward. I almost need like a little, I need to pull it off. So I might have to do that, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. I thought I was on the home stretch to throw this back together and obviously give it a clean down once I've finished with the Vaseline all over my hands, to put it back together and just give it a clean down and get it ready for paint. But yeah, no, apparently not. It's always something different, eh? They change little things just to screw you up. Yeah. So hopefully I can get those two gears off and we can swap them around. Otherwise we're going to have to fix that shaft and fix that bush and put it back together. So, oh well, we'll work on it. Anyway, I'm going to check the timers, since I've been screwing around here for fucking ages trying to work out why it wouldn't go together. Because I was like, just keep playing with it and playing. There's something not right here. Something not right here. It's just not slipping in. And it's like, it should just go in a little bit easier than that. That's why. The gears are just a little bit bigger. It just won't mesh in. It's obviously a little bit fatter in those things. Or it's just worn. You know, one could be worn more than the other. Two, you know, and the other one's worn in. I don't fucking know, but you know what I mean. It just wouldn't go in. So, yeah, we'll keep playing. Righty. So I just clean out the back of this. The number's pretty faint. I'm pretty sure that's 110622, I think. It's hard to tell, but that's what the number is on this back of this one too. This one's a lot easier to tell. So I'm pretty sure that they're exactly the same casting. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just the gears. I'll just bring that back. It is a bit hard to pick up, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. 110622. To me that looks like it, like, you know, it's a bit worn, but like whatever one it is, that definitely two. They're definitely ones, and that's could be a 0 and a 6, and that looks very much like a 2. It's just a bit more beaten up and a bit more weathered. So I think it's not a housing problem, so that's cool. And as far as we can tell, right, you know, that's not a problem, so that's cool. But we just need to see if we can get these gears off. So yeah, I'll just zoom out a little bit. We'll just have a wee measure, just see what the difference is here. See if we can tell. So we're working in millimeters here. See if we can get a rough idea. So it's about, where are we? They're about 2 inches in diameter. They're about 50 mils, close enough, 2 inches. This one here is, oh yeah, it's quite a bit different. Yeah, it's 3 mils smaller, which is, well, I'll go back into here. So 49, 50 mil roughly. So that's about 2 inches. All right. Down to this one, the other one's sitting in the vise. So I can kind of do this, and hopefully I can pull the gears off. So you can see. So yeah, that's why it won't fit. So yeah, obviously that gear's a little bit smaller. For some reason, they just made the gears a slightly different size. Why? Who would freaking know? That's a bit of a mystery. Yeah, like really neither as worn as one as bad as the other really. But yeah, we'll just have to try and get that gear off and change it over. What's that shaft in there? It's about an inch, give or take. Not getting fussy here, but it's roughly an inch. Yeah, it's roughly an inch. I'm sure this one is the same. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's within a bee's dick of each other, so I don't think there's any difference there. Yeah. No, so the shaft's the same. It's just they happen to make the gears different. So, it's a bit of a bummer, but you live and learn. So yeah, we need to take the smaller gear off there and put it on here. So we can fit the things back on. So really it'll still be almost original basically, but not only really the housing and this piece we change, the gears will be the same still even. We just got to get it off. Fortunately, like there's a bit of room here, so hopefully I can get in here with a wee puller, see what Dad's got, and pull it off. And obviously do the same with that, and then push it back on again. So yeah, that'll be probably a tomorrow mission now, I think. I need to go pick up a fridge. So I might shoot round to Dad's, see if he's got a puller, and grab the trailer so I can go get this fridge. Anyway, that'll do. Well, one more mystery solved, I guess. Just a pain in the ass to have to find it when you're trying to assemble something and you're going, why isn't it not fitting?